There comes a moment, sometimes years after the relationship has ended, when the narcissist experiences something they spent their entire existence trying to avoid. The recognition that they destroyed something irreplaceable. And this recognition often arrives not through dramatic revelation, but through the slow accumulating weight of comparison. You see, after the narcissist has driven away the person who genuinely loved them, they don't stop seeking connection. They continue their pattern of pursuit, idealization, and consumption. They find new partners, new sources of validation, new people to fill the void. And initially, these new relationships provide what they always provide: the temporary inflation of the ego, the hit of being desired, the relief of not being alone with themselves. But something happens over time, usually without the narcissist consciously recognizing it at first. They begin to notice that these new relationships don't feel the same. The conversations lack a certain depth. The intimacy feels performative rather than genuine. The connection, while present, remains somehow superficial even after months or years together. And in quiet moments, perhaps late at night when the performance is exhausting to maintain. Perhaps in the space between relationships when they're alone with their thoughts, the narcissist finds themselves comparing. They remember conversations with their former partner that went somewhere, that touched something real, that made them feel seen in ways they didn't even appreciate at the time. They recall moments of genuine connection that they took for granted or actively sabotaged because the intimacy felt threatening. They start to recognize, often with tremendous resistance, that what they had wasn't just another relationship. It was qualitatively different. The person they destroyed didn't just love the performance, the false self, the carefully curated image. They loved the actual person underneath, the wounded, fragmented, terrified person. The narcissist spends all their energy hiding from the world. This realization is devastating precisely because it reveals what the narcissist has been unable to replicate: authentic love, not admiration, not infatuation, not the desperate attachment of someone with their own trauma bonds, but genuine love that saw them completely and chose them anyway. Every new partner becomes evidence of this loss. The narcissist might be with someone objectively attractive, accomplished, devoted, but they feel the hollowness. They sense that this person doesn't know them the way the former partner did, doesn't understand them at the same depth, doesn't connect with them at the same level. And worse, they recognize that they've created this superficiality. They've ensured no one can get close enough to truly know them, because true knowing led to abandonment. So they're trapped in a cycle where they can only form connections with people who don't actually see them, which means those connections can never satisfy the deeper longing for being known and loved. The one person who broke through that defense, who achieved genuine intimacy despite the narcissist pathology, is the one they systematically destroyed through betrayal, devaluation, and cruelty. And here's what makes this particularly excruciating for the narcissist in their moments of clarity. They can't undo it. They can't go back and choose differently. They can't restore what they broke because the breaking was so complete, so cruel, so thorough, that the person who loved them had to develop impenetrable boundaries just to survive. That love, once given so freely, has been permanently withdrawn, not from vindictiveness, but from necessity. The narcissist begins to understand in these undefended moments that they're searching for something in every new relationship that they already had and destroyed. They're trying to recreate a depth of connection that only existed because one specific person had the extraordinary capacity to see past their defenses and love them anyway. And that person is gone, not because they stopped loving, but because the narcissist made it impossible for them to stay. This creates a particular kind of torment. Every new relationship is haunted by the ghost of the one that was real. Every new partner is unconsciously measured against someone who can't be replaced because what made them irreplaceable wasn't their specific qualities. It was their willingness and ability to love the narcissist authentically, completely, despite everything. The narcissist might never articulate this recognition, might suppress it immediately when it surfaces, might construct elaborate narratives to avoid facing it directly, But on some level, in the substrate of their awareness, they know. They know that they've encountered real love exactly once, and they annihilated it. They know that everything since has been a performance, a transaction, a hollow attempt to fill a space that was carved out by their own hand. And perhaps most painfully, they know that this wasn't done to them. This was done by them. They can't blame circumstances, can't point to the other person's flaws, can't construct a victim narrative that holds up under honest scrutiny. In whatever capacity they're able to access truth, they know they had something precious, and they chose pathology over partnership, defense over depth, the familiar prison of narcissism over the terrifying freedom of being genuinely loved. The narcissist's hell isn't being alone, it's being surrounded by people while knowing that the one person who made them feel less alone is gone forever because they made them leave. But there's another way the narcissist arrives at this breaking point, and it comes not from comparison with new relationships, but from something more fundamental. The undeniable recognition of their own patterns. And this recognition, when it penetrates their defenses, carries a particular kind of devastation. You see, narcissists are generally quite skilled at externalizing blame. Each relationship that fails can be explained away. That partner was too needy. This one was too independent. That one didn't understand them. This one expected too much. Each ending gets its own narrative, where the narcissist is either the victim of someone else's inadequacy or the enlightened one who outgrew a limiting relationship. But something happens when the pattern repeats enough times. When the third relationship ends the same way as the first two, when the fifth partner leaves with the same complaints as the previous four, when the narrative of bad luck or wrong people becomes increasingly implausible, even to the narcissists themselves, there comes a moment, usually not a single dramatic realization, but a slow creeping awareness that can no longer be fully suppressed when the narcissist recognizes the common variable across all these failed connections themselves. The relationship starts with intense idealization. The new partner is perfect, extraordinary, exactly what the narcissist has been searching for. There's love bombing, grand gestures, promises of forever declarations that this connection is unlike anything that you've experienced before. And in those early weeks or months, the narcissist genuinely believes their own performance this time will be different. This person is different. They've learned from past mistakes. But then inevitably, the pattern continues. The idealization gives way to devaluation. The partner duation, who was perfect, becomes flawed. Small irritations become major grievances. The narcissist's criticism increases. Their empathy decreases. Their behavior becomes more erratic, more cruel, more designed to maintain control, while pushing away genuine intimacy. And then comes the end. Either they discard the partner once they've extracted what they needed, or the partner finally develops enough self-respect to leave. Either way, the relationship follows the same arc: idealization, devaluation, discard. Different actors, same script. Now, for a long time, the narcissist can avoid seeing this pattern. They can focus on the unique details of each relationship, the specific reasons why this one didn't work out. But after enough repetitions, these unique details start to blur into a recognizable pattern. And the pattern is damning in moments of clarity, perhaps after yet another relationship has ended in familiar ways, perhaps when they're alone, and their defenses are temporarily down. The narcissist confronts an unbearable truth. They are the pattern. Every relationship ends the same way, not because they keep choosing the wrong people, but because they keep being the same person. They keep employing the same defensive maneuvers, the same manipulation tactics, the same cycles of idealization and devaluation that make sustained intimacy impossible. And here's where the recognition becomes specifically devastating in relation to the person who genuinely loved them. That person loved them despite these patterns. That person saw the cycles, recognized the defensive maneuvers, understood the pathology, and stayed anyway. Not from weakness or codependency, but from genuine love and the belief that beneath the patterns was a person worth loving. The narcissist begins to see in these moments of uncomfortable clarity that the one person who was willing to endure their past, turns, who had the depth to understand them and the strength to maintain boundaries within the relationship, that person is the one they drove away through the very patterns they can no longer deny. This creates a specific form of regret because the narcissist recognizes, however briefly, that they had someone who loved them not despite who they were, but with full awareness of who they were. Someone who saw the wounded child beneath the grandiosity, who understood the fear beneath the rage, who recognized the fragmentation beneath the performance, and offered love anyway. And what did the narcissist do with his extraordinary gift? They subjected that person to the same patterns they've subjected everyone to, the same devaluation, the same manipulation, the same cycles that make authentic connection impossible. They couldn't recognize the difference between someone who loved them superficially and someone who loved them deeply because their pathology treats all relationships the same way. This realization that they destroyed something precious using the same patterns they're now beginning to recognize as their own is profoundly destabilizing because it suggests that the problem wasn't that the relationship was imperfect or that the partner wasn't right for them. The problem was that their own patterns make any genuine relationship impossible to sustain. The narcissist begins to understand that they're not searching for the right person. They're the wrong person. They're the one who makes intimacy impossible, who turns love into a transaction, who transforms connection into control. And the person who loved them knew this, tolerated this, tried to work within this until they finally couldn't anymore. And perhaps most devastatingly, the narcissist recognizes that if they couldn't maintain a relationship with someone that perceptive, that patient, that willing to see the best in them, then the problem isn't solvable through finding a better partner. The problem is internal, structural, woven into how they relate to everyone. This moment of recognition, when the narcissist sees themselves as the consistent variable across all their failed relationships and realizes they applied the same destructive patterns to the one person who actually loved them. This is when the breaking point occurs because it reveals that they didn't just lose a person. They proved to themselves that they're incapable of